All right, since we're all here, it is 10:06, and we are here with Brett Hill for a public defense update.
Good. Well, I was going to bring you some fancy pictures and graphs, but the guy's been working on our printer all morning, so and it looks like he's still got a ways to go. But anyway, our issues are, well, I mean, the biggest problem I have right now is not enough. We don't have enough attorneys, and we've been talking about that for years. So for the last couple of years. And it's kind of hard to tell exactly where we're at caseload wise for another little bit till it evens out. When we have attorneys leave, we have to give the attorneys who take their cases case credits. It kind of goofs it up. It's hard to tell till we have some time go by, what kind of trends we're having and that sort of thing. But that's where we're at. Kevin and I are working hard together to hopefully keep ourselves in a position where we're not just simply turning away cases, but we'll work on that more. Hopefully that's a while before we got to do that. Or hopefully it never happens, but that's where we're at on it. And so at any rate, I mean, that's where I'm at. I not too much more to report. Budget wise, first of the year, right?
You're doing great. You're way under.
Right?
Well, I don't even, you're over budget yesterday we just looked at it. I would have.
Last year?
Yeah. For
Oh, we were way under. I mean, it was about, in fact, I think it was 400 grand.
Unfortunately, the people that were over or had a budget shortfall in the revenue were sitting in the room in the budget, like elections, the commissioners.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean,
yeah,
I mean, and classically, I mean, our department's always under because it's something, we're reactionary. So we budget for what we would need if we had a tough year. And luckily we're, usually well under that. So, and I think the commission is pretty clear that know that I'm careful to how I feel about the taxpayer, the budget. It's sort of a trust. My budget is a trust for the taxpayers. So, I'm not afraid to spend what we need, but we don't necessarily need to spend what we don't need. So anyway, any questions, anything? I mean, we haven't heard anything from the Supremes yet that I know about, unless you guys have heard anything about our caseload limits. I hope that's a good sign and they're just kind of waiting it out till the furor is over and they want to, so they can just say, yeah, we're not going to change them. But
I know there's a $35 million cut in the AG's office that he is starting with the budget cut for the state.
That's one of the places.
The new governor, and he said he was starting with this office, $35 million.
Yeah. Well, I think it's almost obvious, but it's easy to say, oh, let's spend more money on, law enforcement and prosecutors and things like that. But when you do that, we got to realize that our budget's got to increase too. Sometimes we forget that. But anyway, I mean, that's kind of how it is. We, like I say, we're reactionary. We take the cases that come to us and do them. One little thing, I think I got to talk to the executive director at WDA. I've been a board member for 10 years, which has been good for us. I'm kind of in the know, but I've been I think they call it an office member. if you have 10 employees or more, you can automatically get somebody on the board. And we're well below that now because we're not filling those spots. So I may need to resign from that for that reason. But of course, we can kind of stay involved, but all that sort of thing. Anyway, I mean, that's one change. Yeah, other than that, I don't know that I have anything too interesting to tell you.
Are you not able to fill those spots because there's just not any attorneys out there that want to do that?
Yeah, there's just no lawyers. You know, Kevin in the prosecutor's office is having the same issue, you know, and I don't know that I'd say public defenders are even lower on the list of people, but people who are looking for government work, you know, either they really want to be a public defender, or but if this is general government work, they tend to go to prosecutors' offices because you're not dealing with, like the cases themselves tend to be a little easier because you have law enforcement helping you, and, you know, you're not dealing with clients and things like that. So unless you're somebody like, that's why I've gravitated that way, is I like having a client, so it, and helping clients. So, so if you're like me, you would like public defense, but I think new graduates tend to gravitate the other way. So, yeah, I mean, as far as recruiting, right now, you know, Gonzaga often has their thing. The last one was a virtual recruitment. Nobody signed up for us, and Yakima County had the same issue, and they're paying. I mean, they're paying quite a bit more than we pay right now to try to recruit. But they're still there. I mean, it's just, they're not successful. So it doesn't appear to be the, at least the salary range where we're at right now. I mean, I suppose at some point you have such a high salary that people take the job. But yeah, I mean, it's just everywhere. You know, Okanagan County, I've chatted with a couple people up there. Okanagan is right now, they're recruiting, they're creating a department. I don't know if you knew that, but they're creating a department like we have, where they've been doing it strictly by contract. And I think they made that decision in November, and they're hoping to get it going by, I think it was May 1st, something like that, you know, this spring.
Are they?
They're moving pretty quickly.
Is there a good reason why they're doing it? It's just or were they triggered by the ACLU?
You know, I didn't ask Anna that.
I'm just curious.
I think it's the attorney shortage has just become so difficult to administer a contract for them that they thought maybe that would be a better way to get people, you know, they'd have county benefits, because they've been grossly underpaying and you know, not offering benefits, you know, and they've had such a difficult time getting attorneys, and they've just been going over caseloads, which puts the attorneys at risk for discipline.
Well, but it puts the county at risk too. It
does, yeah. At some point, we found that out, right? So anyway, I mean, I kind of called Anna. I can't say your name right, Baruka, or she's the one that's had the contract and she's administered the contract, and she said, well, it kind of depends on what they're, I mean, I kind of asked her if she just wanted to come down here and work for us. But yeah, she's not quite ready to do that yet. Because they're going, you know, they've got to hire a director, and I think she's holding out for that. Yeah, it makes sense that that's where they would go unless somebody from outside that they can't turn down goes. But so, yeah, you know, I don't know if you remember Mike. Do you remember Mike Hawes? Vaguely, yeah, Mike. He's been in and out of Okanagan, and so I've been trying to get a hold of him, but he's still pretty much been living in Port Townsend, so I don't know. think he has a little apartment he stays in up there when he's during the week, but. You know, because he worked here for a while.
Wasn't Okanagan when they start, was it Okanagan or Chelan? I thought it was Okanagan,
Did what?
when they took some of our contracted public defenders.
Yes, it was.
Okay, it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
Brian Gwynn went up there
Brian.
and
I will say
with
about,
Mike Prince
Judge
and.
Gwynn
Mhm.
also had some obligations here in the county, and he was the only one that stayed in the county to finish his obligations. Everybody else just took off and
Yeah,
left there.
yeah. Alan White was working up there for a while.
Okay, I didn't realize Alan was.
Yeah, he did for quite a little while.
I lost a slug of them.
So, there were, so we had a lot of people up that direction. And so I think Mike was the only one that really kind of stayed. So we have Prince back in our system again. Working, so. Now, yesterday we had a contract on the consent agenda. Any questions about that?
Yesterday?
There should have been. That was,
Oh, yeah, right there, Josh Decker.
yeah. No? Good.
Gosh.
So I'm thinking you'll sign that when you're signing them today? Okay. Good. Because we need to put him to work.
You need him yesterday.
Yeah, we needed him at the first of the year. And he's just right over here at.
Oh, he's close.
Yeah,
Skip right on over.
At,
the Wallace
what's the
firm.
name of that? I don't know. Yeah, the Wallace
They
firm,
usually-
whatever they call that office now, but, and he's a pretty sharp kid. When he, graduated law school, I interviewed him and this was probably 3 years ago.
20 or 2?
3 years ago.
3 years ago, okay.
Already, I need to speak more clearly. And and I think Garth interviewed him too. Maybe it's been longer than that.
Time flies when you're having
Yeah,
fun.
how long's Kevin been prosecutor?
I'm not sure.
Anyway.
6 years, I think.
Really?
No, because Garth was, he's probably 3.
Anyway, it was Garth that interviewed him, so it wasn't, anyway. And then he decided to go to work over here. Of course, Ken Chadwick's pretty experienced in criminal law. And so it's a good situation because he can supervise him. It won't be too much of a burden on me. Because we've got the other new contractor that just started out of Moses Lake he's an experienced attorney, but he's never done criminal law. So we need to, so we gotta supervise that pretty closely. And it takes a little time to make that happen. So anyway, and so I don't know, that's where we're at. Anything else I can help you with? No?
I don't think it's been, for me, it's been very quiet and. Nobody's called to complain, so.
It kind of has. I've gotten a couple complaints this month, but but normal type of stuff, and things that were easily taken care of, and it's usually a little quiet this time of year. So hopefully it stays kind of that way. But one of the biggest difficulties we had was Steve Kozer's abrupt retirement, because he had some pretty serious cases in the hopper that it's a little bit of a burden on the attorneys that are left, but with a cheerful attitude, they all stepped up, so good for them, and hopefully we don't have a lot of new stuff come.
So do you have somebody currently actively recruiting or?
Well, we have,
We're always looking, so.
we've always got a job posting out, and really it becomes kind of word of mouth in our business, and we just kind of keep our fingers. We have a job posting well, when you do it at Gonzaga, it automatically goes to Seattle U and UW and Lewis and Clark, Willamette, Idaho, University of Idaho. And there's others in the system, you know. I think University of Utah, BYU. I'm not sure that Montana is, you know, there's a law school in Missoula, but I'm not sure it goes there. I've never gotten an application from there. What's that?
Wouldn't have anybody want to come to Washington from Montana.
Well, yeah, depends on why you're in Montana, I guess. Yeah, I see that. They don't seem to have as many legal aid or law clinics, public defense internships, things like that. They do a lot. They do a lot of mining law and Indian law, things like that. The other law schools, particularly Gonzaga and Seattle U, have a lot of criminal law oriented courses and programs. UW not so much. Lewis and Clark does too. You know, in fact, our one of our last couple of hires was out of Lewis and Clark. So, anyway, yeah. Well, you know where my office is.
We do, yes. Thanks for having
It's
me.
not very far. Hopefully, we don't make too much noise in the hallway while you're having meetings.
No.
Never hear you.
What's that?
You never hear
Not
you.
me?
No, nobody.
Oh, I was gonna say, I know, I try not to scream very loud. Oh. I can't afford to lose a lawyer, can't scream much at him. But, yeah, the lawyers on this end they're pretty quiet. But, yeah.
Good morning.
Hi,
Are you,
I'm done.
okay.
All I need to do is put my legs under myself and get up and walk out.
Well, thank you, Brett, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
All right, Brett, thank you. We'll go into recess until 10:30.
Hi.
Good afternoon, it is 10:30 and we are here for a tourism process discussion. We have Sean Carlo with Tourism Advisory. Caitlin, are you going to give us what this meeting is, or is Sean?
I can. It was, Sean had reached out looking for clarification on the Tourism Advisory Committee's responsibilities when it comes to certain aspects of the contracts and voting processes. I think invoices is also something that she had questions about, and things like contracts are things that I probably should not be giving answers about. So we've set up this meeting so that way Sean can ask you guys. Rebecca and Barb from Prosecuting Attorney's Office is here also, so that way they can answer any legal questions. Sean, if you'd like to. Oh.
Yeah, so thank you guys for meeting with us. I just want to make sure that we're doing everything right. And there's been so many changes with the committee, the tourism committee, having previously been a commission, now a committee. And so I just want to make sure I'm doing everything right and with the approval of the county. That way, also, when I make recommendations to the committee or tell the committee this is how we're doing it, it's not as much a discussion. I want it to be, I'm bringing you the best process that the county is happy with, as opposed to us deciding what we think we should do and then bringing it to you guys for approval. And so there's a couple questions about basically process. In our bylaws, because we're a committee, it says that we should be running this meeting pretty informally. But then if a maybe an obvious consensus isn't met, that's when we vote. But that's kind of what came up at this last one where it, you know, a consensus was thought to have been reached, but then other people didn't realize a concession had been reached. So I do want to run our meetings a little more formally so that we are agreeing on things more formally. And so my question is, what are we supposed to vote on? It says we vote on recommendations that we want to bring to the commissioners. And so to me, we're really bringing to the commissioners, I mean, I want to have a baseline. Is things financial and contractual in nature a baseline of things that we should be voting on? Like anything that affects our finances, our budget, if we change it from the initial one that we set? What about even within Rochelle's budget? Should those things be voted on? That's my first question.
I would just say we would like to follow the same contract as we do in the county, so certain limits or contract agreements. And then as far as your financial, following the same, I think that's what happened was your per diem rate that Rochelle had spent somewhere was way out of line with what we do at the county. And that's where it probably got a little bit more magnetized to paying attention to what was going on. So for me, keeping the financial stuff in line with what we require out of all of our employees. And then contracts and financial, when prosecutor's office reviews those, it would be when they would review them for the rest of the county.
And how does that go? Do we as a committee review the contract first and then send it to legal? Or does legal?
So, and Rob, my understanding of the committee, based on the bylaws, is they can't make any kind of decision, and it has to go through the BOCC. Any kind of decision, whatever the tourism committee decides is a recommendation to the BOCC to act. So that is my understanding of how the bylaws are set up.
Yes.
So it's been working like that, sort of, right? But like an invoice, so when you guys had your social media marketing.
Well, can I ask
person-
this very specific question?
Yeah.
Should we review contracts before we send them to legal? To review before
I
the
would
commission
think so.
gets,
Yes.
So-
Okay.
I would think so.
So I think it goes back to your advisory. So it would be, are you advising the BOCC that you want to move forward on this contract? Or are you advising the BOCC that you like this contract but want something to change about this contract? So it's my understanding that you're just advising the BOCC how you want them to move forward on the contract. Is that how the BOCC
I would
understands?
think that they would review the contract and whatever their scope is to make sure that the scope is in there. I don't think you're gonna know the legal jargon that, we don't even know that that's why we rely on the experts. But I think within that contract, hopefully your scope is in there because I don't know what your scope is gonna be. And hopefully the tourism committee, you have voted on it or come to a consensus what your scope is, push it over to, up to the commissioners and we will, go through legal and then we will go from there. But I think I would like your recommendation.
okay. And within that, what about subcontractors through our marketing contractor? Should we be reviewing the contracts that she enters into on our behalf?
That's where I think yes, if it hits our thresholds that we would normally review. So if it's over certain amounts, then it makes sense. Like you guys just did the guy in Kashmir. What's he do? Bike or something?
The videographer.
Yeah, I mean, that was like $30-some thousand contract. Our department heads can't do a $30,000 contract without legal review. So why should a advisory? Yeah, that's where I think this is kind of mixed up, and I don't wanna make it more complicated than it needs to be, but I definitely want
I don't
some
think
review.
anything is complicated as long as the process is in place and we all know what we should be doing. So this is what, very recently, we decided to take a beat and review a subcontractor contract that our marketer had brought to us. And because of that, this, maybe real, maybe perceived delay in payment and entering into this contract made the contractor leave. And so now our marketer is feeling like, what are you paying for? Like, you're paying for me to advise you. But several of us on the committee feel like that was our prerogative to review that. So I just want to make sure that that is something that you would like us to do, is to also review subcontract contracts.
I think that is
So,
up to.
Can I ask a question? So,
Yes.
so there's bylaws that you guys go by? Is there a policy and procedure manual that you guys have, or is it just?
Let me forward you, or I guess Caitlin, do you want to forward the bylaws? And I apologize, I think we talked about it, but it didn't quite happen.
I can forward them to.
Thank you.
And that would include also renewing contracts as well. We should be reviewing the contracts that we're renewing annually or whatever
Yeah.
as well,
Yes.
before we send it to you or legal or wherever it goes after us.
Yeah, because I think it would come to us, and then we would probably reach out to legal if we thought there was something there was.
Whose job is it to do some due diligence on like making sure that these people have a business license?
That's a good question.
Who's doing that?
I think as.
I did a little bit of it on some of your, sorry, Kevin, on some of your contracts, maybe in October-ish,
Mhm.
because, and maybe even before that, because some of them, to me, just knowing the people, I guess, I kind of was like, that's odd, and I looked into things maybe more than I would if I wasn't in that industry, right?
Mhm.
And the ties that I found, I wasn't comfortable with.
Mhm.
And I didn't find business licenses to follow. And that was when I started being a little more aggressive about what you guys were paying for.
Mhm.
Sorry, Kevin.
No, I
So
think
I
that
think-
becomes a
oh, sorry.
problem. If they're not a legally licensed business, we shouldn't be doing business with them.
Right, and so that was my question, who is or should be doing that? I think in my mind, that was something that legal was doing, but we just want to make sure that's happening.
To me, it would be your marketing person. They should know who they're working with and be providing. They should be receiving that information because they're paying them.
They should be able to provide a 911 number for you and a UBI number and all those items. If they can't provide those, then we shouldn't be doing business with them.
And just to address something that you said, Kevin, you want the contract to come to the BOCC and then have it funneled to legal, or do you want to follow the usual process of it coming from wherever it's coming from for legal review and then to the BOCC?
So I think we're treating so because the BOCC is the department
Okay.
and the office it's coming
So
from.
we're treating the BOCC like the client? Okay, great.
So I think it does need to come to us so that we're, because I don't want you to have to review a contract. I don't think anybody on the board say, that we're not.
Yeah.
We don't want to go this
That you're not
direction.
interested
I don't think we
Right.
would go that
So-
route, but.
I'm sorry, so then I have definitely been confused because I had thought that it was, the way that we had talked about it before was $5,000 or less. You guys were fine with Rochelle doing that, and anything over $5,000 was when it would go to legal and then be on consent.
Yeah, that was the decision made last year.
Again,
Okay,
up to
so-
you guys, how you want to handle that.
Are you wanting it to not be going to legal first?
I mean, I think that makes sense, but I think for their side of it, I think they need to do their due diligence as far as.
They need to know the contract includes what they're looking for. We don't know that.
Right, I'm sorry, I'm
Right.
saying after it comes from the
But
committee.
do we want it to go to legal than us?
I mean, it's either gonna go from tourism to Caitlin to legal. or from them to legal then to us?
How would you guys prefer it? That would be my question.
It would be nice to not look over a contract that you guys are not interested in engaging.
I
So
agree, I think.
even
It
if-
needs to come to us first.
I know it elongates the process probably by a week or two. But it would be nice to make sure that it is a contract you guys are interested in. Have we had many contracts that have come directly to us and then the BOCC has decided not to actually engage the contractor?
I think only that one with the subcontractor that backed out that I reviewed, but
I
that's the
think
only
that
one
was
I'm
the only
aware of.
one that the commissioners have. I
Okay.
think there was,
That was a hold on the request of tourism, though. Wasn't a decision on our part.
that's, yeah, it wasn't, the commissioners didn't deny it. It was.
Yeah.
You were ready to go
It was-
forward, but the tourism contractor decided not to?
Or the contractor, the subcontractor decided not to.
We had a question on it, though. I know it was held for one reason or
Yeah, it was
another.
It was
the
going
name
to
and
be,
media being
Oh.
changed to a new name.
yes, and it was, tourism was going to ask for it to be held a week, so that way they could look at it before the commissioners voted.
And they backed out.
Yes.
And
But-
under, I'm
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was,
Under that heading, you said that they backed out due to time constraints. Just coming from legal's perspective, I highly recommend letting the tourism contractor know and anyone that you're looking at contracts for, that they're working with a governmental agency. So there's just going to be a lot of bureaucracy and that legal review alone is going to take approximately 2 weeks, maybe shorter, maybe longer, and then it's going to be elongated by the processes happening around that. I find managing expectations very helpful at the beginning. It tends to mollify people in the long run.
We have definitely found that to be true.
And so when we approach a new contractor, we would say, okay, your contract approval and therefore payment is going to take a process of somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks? Is that,
In order to go through the contract approval process, it would be probably, 4 to 6 weeks.
And they should not be doing work until the contract is signed, or if they are doing that work, they should not anticipate that they are guaranteed to receive money for that work. They're only guaranteed to receive money once the contract is executed by both them and the county. So until there's 2 signatures on there, one being from the county, they should not expect that they're going to receive any money because we haven't agreed to that yet. We meaning, the
Barbara-
king, we, the county.
Rebecca, you can come to the table, so you're not balancing your laptop on your knee if you would like to.
Doesn't matter.
I'll move with you. We'll do a migration party.
Okay.
just all my bags,
I'm with you. I always have 8 bags.
so many.
Doing the balancing act. We should have invited you to the.
I
Okay.
think if you're doing contracts that start at the first of the year, they probably should be started like in December. So
Yeah.
that there's not a lag time.
I really appreciate when language indicates that the beginning of the contract is when both parties have signed and the latest date of the signature. It doesn't have to say that, but that does make it a lot easier to address the concerns that Kevin mentioned.
And going back to the less than $5,000, Rachel is okay to sign without it going to commissioners, but it still goes to legal. But the committee should still be reviewing those.
I have not been sending less than $5,000 things to legal. Because my understanding from talking to the commissioners and Rebecca was that in the way it was worded in her contract was that the commissioners had given her signing authority for contracts less than $5,000. They don't need to be sent to legal unless the commissioners review the invoices and feel like it needs to be.
Okay. And,
So
but,
to answer your question, I think the BOCC needs to weigh in on her questions.
My question would be who would you be contracting for less than $5,000?
for instance, a photographer. We've had her contract with a photographer for maybe $3,800 for a set of you know, dozens of photographs.
Okay. And that's
Um,
in your marketing contract.
That's in our marketing budget and part of her duties as our marketing manager to find assets like that. Yeah. My question then is that still something that the committee should be reviewing?
The selection of the person or the.
Yeah, or the
Yes.
contract,
I
right?
think the committee should, I mean, that person works for you essentially
Right.
in what the tourism board wants to see or tourism committee. And yeah, you should be. Some of the invoices I've seen for things like that, I just, sitting in the chair signing the paper, I just wonder like, did you get any competitive bids? Because I know of very high quality photographers that are less than that, but it's like, okay, Sean and the team must have vetted them.
Mhm.
And that's what we assume. So I would say, yes, you guys should be definitely looking at that.
And so you assume or expect us to get comps before we decide to go with a contractor?
And I'm sorry, can I interrupt?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Did you send me, and I just wasn't paying attention, Rochelle's latest contract?
I sent it to Barb. Here, I have it right in front of me though. I'll send it to you right now. I just sent it to you guys also, so you have it.
So in your marketing contract, shouldn't those items be included in your marketing contract?
What do you mean?
So if the marketing person has to hire a photographer, shouldn't that already be in her contract or their contract? Why would we be paying them separately?
We are paying them through her contract amount.
Okay.
She has her contract pays her. And then she has a budget that we've approved for items including, say,
Outside of.
production.
Okay.
So that $3,800 from this photographer would come out of a budget line that we had approved for her.
That makes sense. Thank you.
But do you all expect or would prefer us to get comps for all of the subcontractors that she gets? For instance, that $3,800 photographer. For instance, she recently paid someone like $1,000 to help her get business information for all of Grant County that will be plugging into our apps. So every restaurant, place to stay, recreation site, all those things, she is working with a subcontractor to get, all those businesses, accurate phone numbers, addresses to go into our app. That was, say, $1,000. Even something like that, should we be getting comps for?
So when I say getting comps, I'm not saying formal comps, right? I'm saying you have a magazine, you know what a photographer costs roughly. If it seems out of line to you, you're representing me, and I expect you to, handle those situations as you believe they should be handled. So $1,000 for a marketing blast to get all that info, I don't necessarily see any issue with that. If you don't see an issue with it, and Pam doesn't see an issue with it, then I would trust in you guys. Like, if you don't see the issue in a $5,000 photographer, then,
The problem with that is if we don't have a strict process in place, then Rochelle is going to bring us something that she thinks is okay. And we're going to say, oh no, I want comps for that now. And then it's going to take another 4 weeks before our next meeting. And then it's going to take another 6 weeks on top of that to go through the contractual process. So I'd like there to either be a strict process or, a good faith process where like this, you guys have made this amount of $5,000 for a reason. Should we is there something like that? Should we be following this $5,000 as well?
And if I could I think will be helpful here, as I understand it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the $5,000 was the result of a discussion with legal as to balancing county priorities and bandwidth with the liability a contract presents, and generally speaking, but not always, the lesser the amount of the contract total, the lesser potential liability is for the county. So my understanding is that's how we arrived at that number.
That makes sense. And I think anything above that, I think, they should be asking for maybe 2 or 3 different people that do that type of work.
And presenting that.
Present it to you guys,
Yeah.
and then you guys can say, well, I don't like this guy, or this guy looks better than this guy. Price-wise, I think this person's better. I don't think should fall on us.
And perhaps she has experiences with these people and says, this person's 3,000, this person's 2,000, but I know that the person who's more expensive does better work and the person who's cheaper is less reliable. That might be something to consider, would you say?
I would agree.
Yeah, and I don't want to micromanage, and I want to get, empower the tourism
Right.
committee to do this, but I think whatever your level is, if you're okay with maybe 2,000 to 5,000, like, let's just make 2 or 3 phone calls and kind of look to see if there's a photographer or maybe it's an app or an influencer that, maybe bounce that off the tourism. But yeah, I don't think any of us want to micromanage, but I think we just want to make sure that and I will agree with Rob, I was a little surprised when we saw that room service was quite high. Like, we're not allowed to do this. None of our employees in the county are allowed to, or state or federal employees, yet we have somebody contracted who's, clearly violated that. So I think it's just, following the parameters of the guidelines that we all have to follow, because it is government funding.
Well, that's where I think if you have a policy in place, a policy manual, you could send them a copy and say, well, based on our policy, we need this from you.
And that's what we're trying to build now.
So can I make a comment on that? What you may want to do is put together a policy you would like to see the advisory committee implement, and then bring it to the BOCC, because they're the ones that are going to have to say, yes, that is a policy we want to adopt for the tourism committee. So that may, and then if you guys would be on board with that.
Yeah, I think I would like to work with the committee.
I think that saves you from them saying, well, this is the way we've done it in the past. Well, now we have a policy for that.
Right. And I wanted to just I know some of these questions are minutia, but it's just changed so much. And there wasn't as much trust coming out of the last, wave of tourism. And so I just really want everything to be really transparent with you guys. And I just want to make sure that I'm doing my job to the best and in a way that isn't confusing, and that we're all on the same page, because it's just best that way.
Yeah, the county-wide trust on the last one wasn't good at
Right.
all. And it kind of, for me, rolled into this one a little bit
Right.
because you selected a friend that doesn't have any social media marketing experience, and you're paying them $4,000 a month. I keep seeing invoices for Coolies or for Electric City, photographer this or for whatever, and it's like, I know people in the county that are better and less.
Yes.
And that's where I kind of was like, okay, I don't want to micromanage either, but at the same time,
Yeah.
just because it's an advisory group and it's a tourism fund, we need to treat it like it still is taxpayer funds.
Yes, it is still taxpayer funds. And so I think this is, Pam and I felt the same way. After the last couple of things, some of her budget line items changed and we had questions why. There's something about the order of our meetings that her portion was rushed. We're changing that structure. So I think this is going to be very helpful. And yeah, I think that writing up those policies presenting them to the committee to discuss, and then bringing them for you guys to review, and then we can implement them, and then just have a really,
And again, because you guys are an advisory committee,
Mhm.
so you would be recommending to the board, these are the policies we want to see implemented with the tourism commission or committee.
on how to make further recommendations to the board. Great,
That makes sense.
yes. Is this the next meeting?
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Was there anything that you need to give us notes on for invoicing? Just reviewing them?
No, like I already said, just look at them, trust your guys' opinions, say them in your meetings so that everyone hears them. There could be 6 of you sitting there thinking this is outrageous, but nobody says anything, it's not their personal money, and it just goes through, so.
I have a quick question too, if I may, about the DMO project that's coming up. Is there a specific thing that you'd like us to do for that? Are
You and Pam, as chair, vice chair, will be involved through the whole thing.
Okay, so this
your
meeting next
schedule,
week is
That'll be like what
the
it
first
is.
meeting? Okay, perfect. Okay. Well, I think I have good pieces here to start on, and I thank you all very much for helping this be easier in the future.
Well, thank you for leading the charge here and, promoting tourism. We do appreciate it. We do want to be partners. We're not trying to.
Yes.
We'll go into a brief recess.
No, I
and
wanna-
return.
Bring in the new plan.
You ready, Bill? Hello, I'm trying to get my.
Girls, you get so excited.
Good afternoon. It is 11 a.m. and we are here for a jail and morgue monthly update.
Okay. Good morning. I'm not sure how I can share that.
I can. If you're plugged in,
I am.
I'll share it for you.
There you go. What's that?
Yeah, watch this.
So Rob, is it just a button you push up there?
Yeah.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Sometimes
I
don't
didn't make it
remember
up,
how.
so,
That's okay.
this is just the numbers of a
Oh.
rough guess.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've only got a few slides here to go through. And of course, if there are any questions, please chime in, so we'll just start discussing it. But this is the January 2025 jail and corners and the central services and HR building update. So as far as the funding goes, so for the 311, from the beginning of life on this project, we've expended $49,985,000 and change. The January billing for 2025 was $5.7 million, and we continue to go at a clip between $5 and $6 million a month. According to the expense sheets, the 117 sales tax revenues for 2024 were $7.1 million. So that brought in a good amount. The expenditures in 2024 out of that sales tax fund was 4.89 million, basically 4.9, with 97,000 of that going into the maintenance fund, that 5% revenue surplus. This week, the city of Ephrata has reimbursed their water line extension totaling $711,000. That check should be in the treasurer's office this week, if not today. And then next week, I'm billing them for the purple pipe portion of that work. So when when you look at that top number, that 49 million that we've expended, you add the 711,000 in line 6 and 727 in line 7 together, we're getting that back from the city of Ephrata. So $1.4 million is coming back to us out of that 49 million. That makes sense?
Sales tax revenue, we're talking about the,
The 0.3%, 117.
and that number looks like it may be including interest income.
So it doesn't really break on that expense sheet that's up on the internal website.
Okay, oh, the expense sheet, but no, you mean the revenue sheet? Or when you say,
Expense or revenues.
okay,
Yeah, so when you look at them, that's what's shown on that sheet. So it may include the interest.
okay, which then something I have not included in this worksheet.
Okay, all right. So if you look at the zones, obviously, you guys have all walked the site now, so you know that the zone 1 and zone 2 are the pods in the back, and zone 6 is the sheriff's office up front. So in zone 1, they're continuing the interior walls that separate the various pods. In zone 2, they're doing the exact same thing as zone 1, but they're about 2 months behind zone 1. So zone 1 will definitely be finished before zone 2, but it's the exact same. They're just mirror images of each other. So. Zone 3, they start erecting steel in a week, as well as zone 1A, the mechanical room. So both zone 1A and zone 3, the crane will move and they'll start erecting steel there next week. From zone 4, the overhead rough-in is complete. So all of the HVAC and plumbing and sprinklers for fire, all of it is complete in zone 4, and they're starting the steel stud walls. And zones 1, 2, 4, and the south half of zone 5, to the right side of the first appearance room, is all completely dried in. And they're going to start steel stud framing all of those walls that they needed to frame in there. And zone 6, the sheriff's office itself, they'll finish erecting steel this week, next week, and then the roof deck will follow. So starting next week, you're going to see the entire footprint. You'll really start to see the whole campus kind of take shape. And then they'll probably in another, 3 weeks to a month, I would imagine they'll have the roof deck on everywhere, zone 3, the north half of zone 5, all of zone 6, and they'll be working to dry that stuff in. So they've done a great job working through the winter. The winter has definitely cooperated. And yeah, they're just moving. And that was a great video, by the way, you did on Facebook. Yeah, so it was, it's kind of why I've given up the blog, because you're doing that. So it's like, well, that's better than what I'm putting up on the blog. So.
Is that the one with the overhead drone or what? I can't remember.
You just did a,
Yeah, Kyle Foreman, as much credit I'd like to take, it was Kyle Foreman who did it, but he's just taking little screenshots here, there, and kind of put it all together with me talking over it.
Okay. Where was that?
no, it was you were walking around. You had your face in the camera.
At one point in time, I did.
Okay. You just did it last week. You were
You're kind of like a
talking about the
celebrity.
1,400 bricks and the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did a great job. The video was all him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like a robot.
Well, it does.
It kind of does.
Have the
Or
cells
two people,
gone
or
in?
two
Minus
people
the
Cells are
standing.
going in. Yeah, they continue to
There
go in.
looks like two
I don't know
people
about
standing
those.
together sharing.
Actually, I wonder if I don't have Facebook on here. His video
Has it in there?
had him
Yeah.
in the background.
Nice.
So,
The
Those
cells
here.
are, I mean, this thing it's taking shape before our eyes. I mean, it's simply amazing. There is one discrepancy that we've seen in the cell so far. I don't know if it needs to come out with RFI.
I don't know about the ship.
So I was there, well, we talked. It's nothing big. It's just a plate wasn't welded underneath one of the ADA handles.
Oh,
It's nothing big.
you're gonna see some of that stuff. It'll get fixed.
Yeah.
But bring it out in an RFI so it's, so
Okay.
that way it doesn't get missed.
No, but the cells are looking good. We had the group holding, and we think we had 4 additional cells in the intake area, and then like 3 of them into the release area. So they're moving them in. One of them had lights on the other day, so it's pretty cool. Once in a lifetime opportunity.
That's true. That's true. Hopefully the last time we have to in our lives pull a job, right? So
It will be mine because I'll quit.
it's been quite a process. So in the work still, we continue to work towards the new bond. The short plat is in review and comment period, so that is in. The Ibaras, signed away their rights to any easements, and that has been recorded. So the PD has a copy of that, so all that land is pretty clear. We're working on fixtures, furniture, and equipment, which is a very difficult undertaking and takes a lot of time to stare at and think of every room in this entire facility. Continuing to work very well with the city and the PUD. The annexation letter got sent to the city of Ephrata, and then Jim asked me to hold off until after the short plat had been put in. So he emailed me this morning, said I'm good to go, so I'm going to re-email that to Ron, and then the city will take up annexation of that land, with city council in the next few weeks.
Oh, because he wanted to do the short plat and not.
There was it was a process thing for him. It was the end of the thank you, the comp plan amendment period, and then the next day, the 26th, started a new critical habitat period. He just wanted me to do it after that time for some reason, but the city was good with it. So.
Well, the longer you take, the more the sales tax comes to us.
Okay. Well, I can just forget to send it for a while, so maybe that's why they want to annex it so quickly.
Oh, probably, because it's going to be a hefty sales tax.
Yeah, so I can.
And the reason it's being pushed right now is it being pushed by them or pushed by us to get something.
Just by them, they just want to keep the process going.
Okay, well, we don't need to be in a hurry.
Okay. We're thank you for the input in this public meeting.
Significant, yeah.
Hopefully the city is not watching. So
No,
we're continuing to look.
I am consistent.
That's all good. We're continuing to look at startup costs. Phil has got that, and the sheriff's office itself. Think about all those things. The video court and technology implementations. So a lot of stuff going on there. Trying to make sure that we get the technology that's needed in there that works the way 10 different people think it should, right? So I've got my vision of it, but the prosecutor's thinking differently than the district court, and they're all thinking differently than the judges. So I think pretty soon we're going to have a regular meeting with them about this technology so that it meets everybody's demands, so that we're not scrambling when we're moving in. The roundabout design continues with really good engagement with the engineer, us and the Department of Transportation. They're kind of excited about it. I did discuss the
I'll bet they are.
Yeah, I did. Well, they're struggling. I think, I had a good conversation with Tom Dent. So Tom asked me if, I could, if I were to get funding from the state legislature, from wherever he finds it, could it be through, a safety grant? He goes, can you justify that? I said, absolutely. And the DOC said, oh yeah, we'll help you write that. So I don't know. He did say that money this year was really tight. He didn't know if he would find anything or not, but it's nice to have him looking. So the public outreach is scheduled for February 12th, 6 p.m. in this room. Looking forward to that. Everybody's invited. I mean, we're going to have 3 or 4 easels set up here. We'll have the design for the roundabout. We'll have questions and comments from the public and try and address anything. I know a lot is coming up about the landscape in the middle of what we're doing. It's a conversation we should have. We're not planning on any landscaping. Do we want it very flat like the one at Dodson where people will just drive over the middle? Somebody made the comment that got me thinking. So somebody made a comment that said, this is the entrance to our community. Make it welcoming. I thought, well, that's a great comment. It's a valid comment. How would you do that?
But you also have ag too. You've got to take into account, you have trucks, and I'm not saying that trucks,
Oh, you're right.
but some of them make it user friendly.
Yeah.
I love some of those.
How much grass will you have at the jail?
Undetermined.
I mean, you could do a,
Do we have any call-in users? This is all on YouTube, so
yeah,
there's some strategy going on there
to not have it,
to not have it.
which is
Yeah.
wise here.
Zero escape.
We can't. We're required through code to have some, but we don't want to go overboard because now I've got this maintenance thing where I've got people mowing and irrigation and
But I
So-
thought you could do rock is also landscape.
And
there's a
desert
requirement for
grass.
some green
It
space,
does have to be,
like a little bit of grass. We are planning at the, oops, sorry. Go back
Does that
here.
include artificial turf?
oh,
Right.
don't say those words.
So here,
Somebody did bring artificial.
you know, some of the pictures, right, the architect, some of the concepts we had showed what looks like a reflection pond. It's not, that's the storm swale. The computer generated model just filled it with water. But we're talking about just right out in front here between the parking lots, the parking spaces and the building. A little bit of green grass with maybe a couple of those concrete picnic tables, you know, and I think that would satisfy the requirement. So it would be kind of minimal.
I do like trees in the parking lot. Sometimes it just gets so hot that it's a pain to get the water underneath it.
So interestingly, so we do not have, you know, when we selected our architect and our team, it did not come with a landscape engineer, a landscape designer. Wasn't worried about it. The PUD's team has a landscape architect. And when we do our collaboration meetings, she is always part of the mix and she's got a presentation she does. And I know in her first presentation, she had pictures of trees all over the place. And I just kind of raised my hand and I said, you're not going to get those to grow out there, you know, and she questioned, she's like, really? So
Unless you have water too.
they have quite the landscaping plan and I don't know that they will achieve it. So.
Hey, I like the xeriscape with grasses,
You can do this.
clean, easy, weed spray everywhere other than where your grasses are.
So we are doing that dance with the city and their code, you know.
Well, I think Big Bend, the new Big Bend, the work sort, skill source, that doesn't have a lot
Well,
of
but
grass
Big
in
Bend
it.
isn't in the city of Ephrata,
Have the-
so
They do have grass, but it's just,
that's been a discussion topic with
Okay.
the city as we've gone through this because we're kind of hybrid, right? We're a county right now with a permitting authority.
well,
But
don't
they're gonna own it all, and then
don't
somebody's
annex
gonna-
for a while.
And well, but they're trying to avoid the question, right? You know, we build a jail and we have zero landscaping out there, but they've got an municipal code, you have to have this green space. Then they're gonna get hit by the public every time somebody builds something and they're gonna say, well, you let the county, you let the county, you let the county. And I think they're trying to avoid that, which I don't blame them, you know,
County wasn't city at the time.
that's true. Right.
Well, just like when Clear Risk, who Canfield Associates put in all these shrubs, and then kind of the watering system of those shrubs
Just quit working.
quite not working and no effort's been made to make them work. And so it was intended to beautify, but then what's the teeth? A
Petrified.
couple years later when they stopped maintaining the watering system.
I thought, you know, as far as the center of that thing, if it was raised concrete a little bit, if it was small enough that, no, you guys can tell me I'm all wet, but I started thinking of stupid things like this, right? If this was a large enough diameter that trucks didn't have to cut across the top, if the center section of the concrete was poured so it was raised a little bit, so as you're coming into the city of Ephrata, you see that, but then get the city to work with the school districts and stuff and like make it a community thing, right? Incoming senior class gets to go and paint a mural on it. Do that every year, it stays fresh, right? I don't know.
You don't want to create side issues.
No, I'm talking about, you know, raising it, you know, this much, right? I mean, when you're driving in, it's gonna be, you know, you can use a transit and you can see what the angle of declination is, so to speak, for the view of it.
But we do have a lot of boats and RVs,
Yeah.
and trucks that come through this town.
It's just a thought, right?
Yeah.
Just, I mean.
No, I do like when they have like a little statue or something.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the comment and we're sharing of those comments, you know, with the engineers. But I don't, how do you make a roundabout welcoming? Or do we have to? Should that be the city's
Rolled
responsibility?
curbs. So I know down in Mattawa, they had the taller, you know, the they had to remove those and roll them. So that the trucks. I mean,
One of
just-
the comments was from a truck driver. He talked about the width of the lane and rolled curbs and stuff like that. So I know that I talked to the engineer. I said, hey, you need to become a member of, you're from your creative win, because that's when all the comments are coming from. And so he did. So he's seeing all the comments.
It's cheaper to roll the edges than to redo them after. To go
Well,
back in
the
and
one
cut
at
it.
Home Depot in Moses is a pretty good example of, it's easy to get around in a semi. Even though-
Well,
also
yeah,
too,
it is,
too,
except the signage isn't good. And if you're not from around here and you don't know that a semi is about to cut you off, if you're next to it. I've heard a lot of complaints about that roundabout. So a lot of people
Not
like,
wide
don't
enough.
build it that way. But we don't have a need for it. The traffic study doesn't dictate a dual lane roundabout. It dictates a single lane roundabout.
That makes it easier.
Yeah. So, and then I also have a picture of this overlaid with the one at Dodson. And the engineer who called us, he's called a couple of times, like, who built that? Who designed that? And I said, my understanding is it was a joint effort between the city, the DOT, and our public works. They got it done, a weekend or 3 days, 3.5 days, something like that. It was fast. And it's oval. When you superimpose this
Oh,
over the
it's
top,
not
even the engineer's like, who builds an oval roundabout?
over the
That one's
weekend
oval.
when nobody was watching.
So it's not gonna be like the one at Dodson. Moving to the Human Resources Central Services Building, so it is out for bid now. There is a mandatory, all right, we'll
I
see you later.
apologize.
Thank
No,
you
it's
for
okay.
doing that.
I'll catch you later.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
There is a mandatory walkthrough on February 6th at 2 p.m., so people who don't show up for that don't get the bid. But I have seen a good amount of interest. I've got people coming from Battleground. I've got people coming from Walla Walla. I've got a couple of local contractors. So one of those local contractors said that the bid market is pretty weak right now. So people are hungry. They're going after whatever jobs they can find. So it might be hitting at a good time.
Should be competitive then.
Yeah, and the bid opening is February 19th, with work to begin immediately after. I do have an updated budget from the architect of $850,000 for this. So we are funded total 1.4 million. So hopefully it's 850,000 or less. Give some money back. Whoops. Yep, and then the corner, obviously it's coming soon, under construction. Currently, we have $1 million set aside for it, which will, if I can cite it, we can get the architect going, the geotech services and that kind of stuff. Meeting with Fort Moses Lake today at 3 o'clock.
There.
Here,
Here, oh, come over.
you can make it there. But this, you've heard me grouse about this, become very difficult to cite this, and I'm really hoping to have something positive to report today. We likely will not at this point have an operating morgue when the hospital opens, so I need to talk to Craig about considering operational contingencies for that. What do you do, right? If the morgue isn't
We
open.
we may be able to stay and
Yeah.
continue operating because of the transition that's happening.
Yeah, and they're not gonna be able to just move out overnight. And I don't know how they're doing on their schedule. I need to talk to Joe. But,
Is it currently up at the hospital?
I'm sorry?
Is that what they're doing, is up at the hospital?
Yeah, but they
Well,
don't have a
morgue is
full
in the
office up there. The
hospital.
coroner is in the basement of the health district. And yeah, he's in the basement of the health district, but the autopsy suite is at the hospital. So, and that's, there's a whole history there with shared services and things like that. But when it came down to it, the shared services they don't cost that much. And while it was convenient, there aren't a whole lot of hospitals with the coroner's office in them. So we're not like bucking a trend or anything like that. So it just didn't work out being with the hospital, but we have a discussion to have there too about that outstanding bill, with the hospital, what we're gonna do there. So I don't want the hospital, taking it too far, but, and I don't know if it's just we schedule a meeting with them to come sit down with us, say, this is how we feel, why we don't want to pay it, or all of it, or something, meet in the middle. They certainly didn't deliver. There's I'll have to get it, I'll have to
Yeah,
tell
fill
you.
me on that.
What's the cost?
Quite sure.
$360,000, $363,000. I don't remember off the top of my head, that seems close. Outside of that, that's my update. I didn't get too into the weeds, but I don't know if you guys have got questions or discussions. Daryl brought the updated.
Well, I took his schedule and added 5% to the 50 million and then multiplied the 5% to the column that says annual payment to get those numbers to then create what is the surplus or loss. I entered, actually, the sales tax was 6.7, so that difference is probably the investment interest that went into the fund, which I didn't factor in. So when we look at these negatives, we may be not in a negative because of the interest income for a 3-year interest-only payment. So I was just bringing his number up to date, doing 5% from there. We never talked about that revenue as being part of the revenue. Also, we never threw in the interest income on the jail bond monies as part of the monies available. So we have some other monies adding to the balances. So I just wanted to do that, just to provide that type of worksheet with a 5%, a 10% increase. Actually, no, 5 divided by 50 is 10%, not 5%.
Okay, so Daryl, this includes the additional 55 or 60,000 we need to add. I can just clarify.
Right, well, first thing is, the first 3 columns on the left is our current bill schedule. The things in blue, from light blue to then the bold. Principal 1, interest and 2 is the new bond. But actually the number is, I did 5% when it should have been 10% increase from 50 to 55. So those numbers are higher, but again, we're not factoring in the interest income. So,
Okay, which will help.
so that will help. By adding the 10%, this was showing that we were doing an $8 million payment. And so it'll be 8 million plus when you put in 10% instead of 5. So, but with the growth of the revenue over time, we're going to get into large amount of monies
I
extra
hope so.
versus our fixed costs. So we may be still in the negative for a couple of years because I needed to add. So I'm just seeing is it looks like another, say $150, 150,000 average. So of course, then when we're talking about interest only, we need to decide, do we just tap more out of the jail money sales tax that's sitting in the account already to cover it, or do we tap other resources? So that's what to ponder when we start making decisions for the debt. And then we do budgets each year to decide if we're going to be spending down that little shortage each year out of the current balance.
And I failed to add that to my slide on the 311-117 funds. I think 117 right now has 16 million in it, is what it says on the cash sheet.
Yeah, just on Monday, you were given from Amanda the ending year cash balance for that fund.
Should have been 16 million and change. I can look it up real quick too.
So is the cash comparison one that Amanda gave you on Monday, the cash year to dates from 2024 to 2023. All this paperwork.
I must have it in my backpack.
Right, so we have that money that can always be tapped as well. You know, right now, we're just trying to use the money we generate each year without touching the balance of that fund to use for other purposes. But to take 300,000 out of that additional out of the fund on top of the revenues from the year, and you have the interest income as well. It's almost where you're tapping the interest income to cover the shortage.
$16,622,235.
So I assume these are just projected.
Yeah, well, these are, yeah, because we don't know what the interest rates are.
Well, we don't know what our sales
Yeah.
tax revenue is gonna be either. Do you think
No,
that's gonna go up?
Yeah, well, actually, the first month when I presented, we had a big drop because of November 24 was, the cities didn't have as much that happened in their cities. So,
I think as we grow, we're gonna get more revenue from.
I have an Excel spreadsheet that I'll send you that I call it my living amortization schedule, but it, you know, I can update it from year to year as we, you know, get these revenue numbers in at the end of the year. The original sheet was based on a 5% growth projection, but we've grown more than that. So I think the original growth projection had us in this year getting 4.9 or 5.1 million, but we got 7.1 million because our growth was much better. So we went conservative on the growth projection to try and make sure we stayed safe, so.
so that's what I have. Yeah, just never talked about the other income source into this fund is the interest earnings.
Any questions at all?
I think I'm gonna wait till it warms up before we go for another trip.
Let's go today.
It's they're drying it in, so at least, you know,
Might be
there won't be any
no,
water in
it's
those
good.
areas, so.
After today.
And in those areas where it's dried in, they've got heaters going too, so those guys can
Well,
keep
good,
doing
so
the
we
walk
won't
walls
die
and
if we go for another tour. Well, I think the next phase looks much different than when I was out there, so I think every time we go out there, it's gonna like.
well, and when they start doing the steel stud walls, and they're gonna wanna mud those walls in, right, you know, they're gonna have to have heat, so. But we're saving money there too, and in Leidig's general costs, they had heat for the winter, and they have barely tapped that, and that was a pretty big number. So any of these numbers that were in that original 132 million, we get back at the end, if we don't spend them right now, we're still tracking, you know, 11 million ahead of that, so, or 9 to 11 ahead of that.
Good luck, Don.
We're doing good.
Yeah, we're definitely been on our side for that project.
You looking at furniture, Daryl?
No,
It's like a venue. Our new magazine.
so is that Sean Cardwell?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. She's trying to get our business. Problem is her magazine comes out at the wrong times. Just like we're having problems with Quincy paper. Now it's once a month. And the deadline is by a certain date, which
Were
we
you in the
don't
play?
have it wasn't, I went to Holo Doll, that wasn't. And so we don't have the data to meet the deadline for advertising. That
Okay,
far
cool.
ahead.
Anything on the morgue? Or the other buildings?
I think we'll know more after our meeting today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So who's supposed to come?
Porter Moses like.
Just, all right.
Okay, sorry, Tom.
Oh, that's all right. I saw you with your blanket. Are you guys warm enough in here, or is it too
Oh,
cold?
I'm cold, but I'm always freezing.
I have my insulated pants on, so.
I don't have my warm socks on. The city of Rose City is having a park meeting. I was not gonna go, but after me email this morning, because Quincy, they're trying to follow the same,
Oh.
kind of the guy that lives at the Quincy. I thought I better go. It is in my district and I am on the Quincy Park District Board. So it's at 1 o'clock, but I will call in the rest of the meetings throughout the day.
Sounds good.
And I have someone come in anytime for foreclosure payment. My foreclosure deputy's gone this week. We had a court hearing.
Well, that's good that they can make a
Better go get
payment.
that money.
There's another house that will be taken out, and another property, the pot shop in George, that there's controversy. But the attorney, their attorney did something that.
We're done, Tom.
Yeah, unless you guys want, I was gonna see if you guys wanted to talk about that presentation that was done at all, or,
You can.
Oh, the training?
yeah, or we could do it offline, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll go into recess until 1 p.m. when we're back for an HR update. Good afternoon. It is 1:01 p.m. and we are here for our weekly human resources update with Decorah Anderson Cook.
Okay, while we're waiting for Gina, she was gonna bring the documents that she had yesterday, but she forgot them on her desk, so she's gonna go get those and make copies of the wage amounts for the board to review. In the meantime, I'm gonna skip down to item 2 on my agenda. I have a sick leave donation request. I have reviewed the policy and the documents the request, and as you'll see in that, I am making the recommendation that the board does approve the sick leave request. The employee is critical. And if you want any more specific information, we could do that. I can pass the packet to you to keep names confidential if you would like.
Decorah, so not having any information, obviously in the policy, if they didn't have the surgery, that could be life-threatening. And so it would fall into that category.
Yes, ma'am, it sure does.
Okay, I'm okay signing my name.
Thank you, Cindy. Yes, please. I don't have the signing sheet, so. But just wanted you to see who it was.
Yeah, I saw.
Okay. So Cindy has approved. Rob?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, back up to item 1, now that Gina's here. We can pass these out. Did you need this one?
So there was a request from Superior Court to increase so I'm gonna take this a step back. Last week, the BOCC approved the rebanding of the Superior Court Administrator from a 16 to a 19. And since then, there's no request from Superior Court to move her to step 7 in the new band 19. Standard process is to, when there's a reclassification, to give employees a 2.5% increase. With that 2.5% increase, it's also standard for the department to go up 1 step. So the sheet that Decorah handed out is a breakdown of their request, as well as what is standard, the standard 2.5, places her at a band 19 step 3, and then, which is actually a 4% increase. And then if moved to band 19 step 7, it amounts to a 15% increase. And then part of the PMRT request from Superior Court was keeping the position in line with comparable positions within the county, which is why you see the youth services court administrator at the bottom there. She's currently in a band 20, step 7, has been in that position since 2019, as well as the district court administrator that was recently rebanded as well to a 19, step 1, which was the standard 2.5 increase. Judges, anything you'd like to add to that narrative?
I thought that was a pretty good narrative. Yeah, we were just trying to equate it more with the juvenile court administrator, as you all recall, and so I don't mean to bore you with the same thing over again. We had budgeted an amount that would have been equivalent with what the juvenile court administrator was asking for, which would have been about that same hourly rate. At the earlier meeting, you all said you would be comfortable doing a 19, which we appreciated, but a 19 step 3 wasn't what we were looking for in ways of trying to make it more comparable or acknowledging what she's done. She's been in her position for just 1 year less than Swahili.
Well, not even 1 year, for 3 months less.
So that's why we were coming back to ask for the 19.7, since we couldn't get the 20 something, to make it more in line with what we had been asked for and approved in the budget.
So this increase has been approved in the budget already, correct?
Yes, our budget was approved with it being, be it right or wrong, it was in the budget with a band 20 step, I believe step 7.
So the issue was when, however it was submitted, the band number hadn't changed, so it showed the old band, but the actual dollar amount, which is what I'd imagine you all cared about, had considered a 20 step 7. So a 19.7 would be still a good deal less than what was at least approved.
So, because you don't know, when we do positions in the budgets for the next year, they go into position control. So in position control, that's when they had this position in there. That's where that goes. They're not supposed to put the funds into the budget. It's supposed to go into their position or control request, in which then we know that the position is there, they're requesting it, and it's not in the budget as the new amount. So they do have it in the budget, which was incorrectly done. And the reason we did that was in 24 budget, we allowed them, all of the departments elected to put the positions and the amounts into the budgets, and stated during budget updates each meeting, this is not an approved position. This is just so that it's in the budget so we don't get a surprise. And it came back on us basically as, well, I'm independently elected, I can hire and fire whoever I want. So then for 25 budget, we removed all of the increases from the budget, created position control to where saying it is in the budget, it's not supposed to be in the budget. So
The funding source is categorized into an account rather than a department's account. And then as positions come forward through PMRT and then are approved by the board, those funds would then be transferred into the department's account to pay for it.
One other thing though, just so you're aware, which I think you remember I mentioned at the last meeting, even with that approved amount, we still are under budget from the year before 11%. That's even if you were to give the 20 and a 7. So this wasn't as if we were asking for additional money we weren't getting before. It actually was a significant reduction in our budget.
Do the commissioners have any other questions about the request?
I don't.
No.
Is it time to vote? Like they say on the TV shows.
Call for the question.
I would ask, or I have the duty and responsibility to remind the board that what you do for one position They like positions will, such as district court, that one will come back to you to do the same to what you've done with this one. If you moved this position to a 20, district court will also want that 20, so just to point that out, so you know.
For myself, I want to stay consistent with what we do in other spots. Through PMRT, we found out that she does have her review date coming up in a week or two. So I am still, if we were to stay in the 19, which I am currently fine with, going allowing the 3, knowing the review's coming, going to a 4, starting at the date that they make the decision to put this in place. But I would be at the 4. Which is what, an 8%, 9% increase?
Yeah, I'd be about an 8%.
Cindy, do you have thoughts you'd like to share?
Drop off.
No, she's there.
Okay, sorry, I was actually double sharing. I'm trying to listen in and present at the park, so I'm just going to be more of a listening ear here.
Okay.
But I think we should wait until the salary survey. This is just me kind of nervous to jump one. We need to look at it as a whole. And I know the increase was not it was a bit of an increase. I don't think we're, 100% there, but I just think the salary survey is coming. And if we could just wait, and because this will trigger a lot of other movement.
This decision was already made. It's just the step in which we would place the position.
Evan, thoughts, questions?
Put me on the hot seat.
You know what?
Well, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just new kid on the block here.
Absolutely.
So the 2 Swahil and Desiree's positions listed down below, are you asserting those are the like positions, correct, that you're using?
That's Hills.
Okay, so the question I have is if we have 2 like and we're doing comparables and all of that, why are we placing the Superior Court Administrator, tying her, I guess, and keeping her closer to the District Court Administrator and not the Juvenile Court Administrator? Might have been answered a little bit yesterday, I'm not sure, but there's quite a big disparity there. And if we're going off of like positions and comparables, I'm wondering why we're on the lower versus the higher end.
And I think part of that, Gina, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a part of it has to do with how historically the board has viewed Swahil's position as a department head position, where she has that top authority, where the judges in district court and superior court, the presiding judge has that top authority. So that's why there has been the discrepancy.
And then part of the comparison that we do as part of HR's process when looking at positions and how they're classified is looking at the job description. Desiree and Crystal's position is exactly the same. They have the same job description. Suhail's job description is a little bit more expansive and has more duties assigned to it. And that is one of the things that we look at when I did the statewide comparison. There's a lot of positions that are called that, but have less duties. So they wouldn't be included necessarily in that survey. So I hope that answers your question.
Because she accepted it already. They have not accepted it. Versus that, she's at a 7, so then your steps are right there.
those steps are based on time here, or how does that work?
Yeah, you get it, basically, they have the authority to place them at a 2 or 3, and then each step is at annual review.
And so Cindy, I don't know if you can hear us, but I wanted to circle back on your comment about the salary survey, which I think is a good point. However, do you have an opinion about the step placement for the Superior Court Administrator? As opposed to a 4, moving her to a 7?
Okay, just because I'm hitting and missing and jumping in between the two meetings, I'm feeling like I'm going to just have to trust what HR comes up with right now. I just feel like I'm getting a little bit here and there, so I will go with the other two commissioners on that step increase. But the salary survey, if that's what you're asking, sorry, I was getting two questions at the same time. The salary survey, I don't know if Kirk is going to move forward with this. If not, I will go ahead and move forward with the salary survey, but I haven't heard what the status is on it.
Cindy, I will be taking over the RFP on that, so it will get done.
Okay, well, I will be happy to work with you because this has been something I've been wanting to do for 18 months.
Yep.
Kevin?
I thought that we had agreed was it last week or the week before? In regards to the additional wage increase, but I don't have it written down as to what we decided then.
Then it was the band 19 with the standard of step 3 with the 2.5 standard increase.
So that would have put her at 53, 55, is that right?
Yes. But given that she has a step coming up here shortly, her annual step, I would recommend at the minimum moving her up to the step 4 within that band and capturing it all at one time.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, are we gonna be back here, a week later doing the same thing,
Well,
essentially?
it wouldn't have to come back to the board because it would be just an annual review, but we can just capture it all at one time. It would save everybody a little bit of time in the end.
I'm in agreement with that. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't.
Okay. Thank you.
So we don't need to do anything else then for the annual review. It's just going to show as a 4 right now.
Yeah, we'll just move it straight to the 4.
Thanks for all your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And then like Cindy said, we are gonna have the comprehensive review, and
Yes.
things might change then, but definitely wanna implement this for that employee as quickly as you can. To just take advantage of it now. Every day is different.
Okay, we'll do whatever we need to paperwork wise and get it to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, judges.
Appreciate your time and your dedication to your employee.
Yeah, you bet.
Year-end report for PMRT. You just haven't done one of these before, so I'm excited.
This is yours?
This is mine. Creative, sitting on the couch.
Colorful.
So we've been doing PMRT almost 2 years now. And so I thought it might be helpful to put it in to a visual of what we've been doing. And
PMRT is so scary. The orange is all yeses.
yes.
Before we move
Yes.
on,
Oh, sorry. Mhm.
prospective, the part that they're gonna write up is prospective, not retrospective.
Today.
That's my understanding.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Thank
why
you.
I said you need to accept it, get the amount, because then if we do have the wage savings done within 6 months,
Right.
you're at an increase for 6 months and maybe more, you are placed where you need to be. It's,
Yeah.
I don't know why they want to keep pushing it further.
Thank you for confirming.
Thank you, Gina.
Okay, so first page, we had 92, so if it seemed like we had a lot of requests last year, we did. We had 92 requests. 80 were approved, 7 were declined, 4 were put on hold, and 1 the department withdrew. Types of requests, we had 1 COLA request. That was out of the PA's office, because they were topped out. We had new positions, 21. Reinstated positions were 5. Increased count of FTEs were 20. Reclassifications, 35. 1 annual leave request, that was for a new employee coming in, and the request was to bring in with increased annual leave. We had 2 stipends. 4 step increases. That one is outside of the standard steps. 2 retention requests and 1 promotional. Page 3, current expense, departments and offices. Starting at the top, youth services, you had 1 position or 2%. Auditor's office, 8 positions at 13%. BOCC had 4 at 6%. Central services, 4 at 6%. Clerk, 3 requests, equaling 5%. Coroner had 1 at 1%. District court, 5 positions or 5 requests at 8% of the change. Fairgrounds had 4, which is a 6. HR had 1, which is 2%. New Hope had 6 requests at 9. Prosecuting attorney's office, 6 requests at 9%. Sheriff's office had 12 requests at 21%. Superior Court, 5 at 8%. Treasurers, 1 at 2%, and WSU at 1. And that is a 2%. So just broke it down. And then the last page is non-current expense. We have the 3 departments with renew at 50%, which was 15 requests, development services 2 at 7%, and public works had 13 requests at 43%. So if you would like to see this done differently, or please let me know what your expectations are. I just thought having the visual, being able to see what we've done every week for the last year, and the requests that HR brings to you. But if you'd like to see it in a different format, please let me know.
I like this. The only thing I would like to see is just like a 1 sentence of the declines.
Oh, okay,
And
what
the
they are?
holds, and then the withdrawals.
Okay.
Just because I think if somebody was to get this, then they would know, oh, it was declined because.
Sure,
whatever
and we do,
reason.
and I do have that on the master spreadsheet. So if the question does come up, I can have it, but I can add that next time.
It'd just be interesting on this one.
Yeah. And do you want me to bring that back next week, or do you want just the next time we do this? Okay.
Do you do this quarterly?
Well, this is my first time doing it, so that could be another expectation. We could do it quarterly, we could do it halfway through the year, once a year, whatever the board would like to see. Because I do track them all, so.
It should be interesting because on the new meeting schedule, I do have PMRT as a board meeting.
Okay.
With anticipated executive session for job review. So we'll see.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think it would be good to include everyone.
Is the board thinking quarterly then?
I don't know.
We'll just say quarterly and present it, and if
And then if, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it should be pretty simple to put it in there.
will do. Okay, item number 4, if there are no more questions about that, item number 4, I am gonna ask for an executive session.
For
Employee evaluation.
how long?
Let's start with 10 minutes, please.
All right, we're going to go into executive session from 1:26 until 1:36 for job applicant / evaluation, RCW 42.30.1101G.
Up with, yeah, it's just not
You
healthy.
want to extend or?
Oh, we're coming out? Okay. Yeah, let's do another 5 minutes, please.
Are you sure that's enough?
Okay, let's do another 10 minutes.
We're going to extend executive session 10 more minutes, Caitlin, to 1:46. Keep it funny. I don't care. I've got a mirror, bro. But no, I think it'll be good for the county. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can take some pieces of it and implement it, and you
Yeah.
guys, I mean, Kirk was going through too, Cindy's going through, hopefully Cindy will bring some of those things.
Yeah.
There's a couple tests that come up soon for you guys about like how empowered are you in your
That's this
organization?
week.
And when I took that, I was like, wow, like I really wanted them to take the course, or the commissioners take
Yeah.
the course, because I want them to have like that self-feeling of like I don't feel like I have any power.
Yeah.
So how do we work together to then give each other the power? So
So is this course, is it all online reading?
Yeah.
Or is it a webinar?
It's,
it's both
yeah, it's both.
Videos,
You have
reading,
videos,
webinar.
readings,
phone
And-
calls.
and then you have a small cohort of 10 to 12 that you meet with on a weekly basis, and then a large, and that's an hour, and then you have a half an hour with the larger cohort, the full cohort. On Friday mornings, it's half an hour, and just kind of talk about what was learned that day, key points from it.
And does everybody have input on?
Yeah.
that?
And this week, actually, Rob, was that self-assessment that I did.
Yeah, I
so-
remember that. I remember having
Yeah,
it.
it was a little, it set me back a little bit. I was a little shocked. Because at least I thought I felt pretty empowered. Until I did it, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not as empowered as I thought I
No,
was.
when I
But
took
it's
it,
good.
I got halfway down the sheet and I was just like, this isn't for me, I guess. Because I'm not answering very positive and I don't want to deep think into any of this, so.
Well.
But I did bring it and I was gonna give it to them in an executive session and I never did. I think it sat here for a month or two. Hopefully Cindy can bring it maybe next week and we can look at it.
And I think it will be helpful, the more people that take it, the more conversations people are able to, like I said, speak that language, the same language, and to know what you're talking about and be able to bring constructive criticism to each other without taking it
Yeah,
personally.
you have to feel safe to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
vulnerable, I guess.
absolutely.
Which it feels like it's getting better, but
Yeah.
it was not safe
Yeah.
for a long time, so.
You can call me whatever you want, I don't care.
You're on record.
Right.
Okay,
Well,
that's.
we'll go into recess until 2 p.m. when we are back for our weekly commission meeting. Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, January 28th, 2 p.m., and we are here for our weekly commission meeting. I will now call this meeting to order and begin with an open forum for public input, 3 minutes per person, 15-minute time limit. Jerome is the only person in our hearing room today and has public comment.
Jerome Waywers on Moses Lake. I'd like to make a comment on item 20 on your agenda today. The contract with Wheeler for 3 million plus 3.6 or something. In light of recent developments at the federal level, it may be prudent not to sign that contract yet until they find out if part of the monies for that are used pass through from federal to state down to county, or if it's all state money. That's quite a chunk to have to be on the hook for, and you really don't want to be stopping someone after getting started on a project that big. I guess that's my only comment for today. Other than it's good to be back.
I do believe that they told us what that was.
The funding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's probably in that paperwork right there, and look at it. But I think we were good.
Yeah, that funding, I think, is already in.
Yeah, it's in there.
We already have the funding. Funds are already available for that project.
That's good.
So I think we're good on that.
Barb, do we have any callers that have public comment? I saw one in there I wasn't aware of.
Yes, sir. We have 2 call-in users. I'm going to unmute both call-in users. Give them the able. Oh, we have 3 now. Sorry. I am allowing all 3 to talk. So call-in users, Jim, Cammie, and Tom, if you would like to public comment, please unmute yourself. I guess not.
Okay, hearing no additional public comment, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Agenda is approved. Do we have any correspondence, emails, letters of response, or support that anybody has for us? Caitlin or Barb?
I do not.
I guess I don't know if this is correspondence. It's about LTAC.
Okay.
They opened up the applications for it. We've got a little over half of them have filled out the applications.
Okay.
I guess, I know this might be a roundtable thing. Do you want me to just put those on consent?
No, not yet. When's the closing date for the applicants?
The 13th.
Yeah, so we'll hold them until at least the 13th. Let the board review, make sure they're good with the people. Or if there's extras, make the selections. Make sure they fit the spaces needed with ratepayer and grant recipient. And then do the consent. Any additional? Barb, do you have any roundtable items?
No, sir, I don't.
Any for you?
I don't have any. No.
Cindy, do you have any roundtable items?
No, I do not.
Okay, and I don't see any directors or department heads on the call. So then we'll just roll right along. I'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll approve the consent agenda items. I can't remember if it's 1 through 24 or whatever they were, but I moved to approve them.
1 through 27. There was just a couple items in there that typos. Like one was 13. I was looking for my notes. Just the dates on the one was wrong. From Brett Hill, it was 13/31/26. I believe that should be 12/31/26.
Yes, it should be corrected in the agenda, just on his consent request.
Okay.
Is where the typo happened.
Okay. Then I'm good with it. I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes to approve consent agenda items 1 through 27 as stated by Commissioner Carter. All right.
You have a walk-on?
What is the walk-on? I don't remember. It's
It
Tom
is-
Gaines.
Yes, it's the controller HVAC system for the Law and Justice Building.
Trying to find the
Should be
official.
there, oh, yeah.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the walk-on submitted by Tom Gaines for the, I believe it's for the jail.
So it's like for 15,000. Oh, he's walking in right now.
There you go.
You get
For the
something?
Law and
You didn't
Justice.
get lunch today.
Yes, I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Discussion would just be that this is for Law and Justice Building Automation System Controller.
Yes, the building automation system.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes to approve the walk-on as presented. Okay. Looks good. I mean, we can go down there, we just sit here, but I'll let you pass them out to us.
Sorry I was late.
That's all the good stuff.
There wasn't a lot of good stuff today.
I figured you were like me, you didn't get lunch.
I didn't, but I'm on a.
That is the walk-on item. Cindy, do we have your permission to use your stamp?
Yes, please stamp my name on everything. Thank you.
This is a creation of a new fund for the sheriff's office.
Good, how's your jail doing?
Very good.
Cool.
Today's the 28th.
Why am I wrong
It's a
every
big
time?
project. How much is it?
Only sometimes.
Cause I don't wear my watches.
It's a request for creation of a new fund for historical preservation.
That's a lot of people. Every time I go up to Lowe's, I'm just amazed by the parking lot for the guys working up there. It's like,
This is the human resources from the last meeting.
then I think about like, you see these high rises going up in New York and there's no place to park and how do they get in there?
Creation of a new fund for the Quincy Valley Regional Parks.
Spent 30 days in Germany. All of the guys in the trades.
It's your AP batch. Yes. The 28th. She probably does. You probably know. I said it was the 28th. And he said, she probably knows. And I said,
Huh?
and your face.
I've been writing 27.
Yep.
I mean, not in here. I'll see you guys later.
Or he's delivered after hours.
It's the special occasion liquor license application.
Crazy.
Jerome, have you been to the jail yet?
No, I haven't.
Well, don't wear those, but if you want a tour, I'll take you.
Maybe next week.
Yeah, I would like to go next week to see the cells.
Cells, and yeah, they're just starting to put the cells in. Cells are all prefab, so they get delivered completely built.
I'll pick a nice.
We slide them in.
Crane them in.
Yeah.
So do they put up wall to wall, or is there some between them?
Wall to wall. It's like, they're almost like little Lego blocks. And then
The request
This
for
is
to set a hearing for a
the
budget
cells are
extension,
around the perimeter.
Oh,
But there's
SIP
8 foot
grant,
all the way around. We can access
grants,
all the
plural, I
electrical,
believe.
mechanical, everything in those cells.
Associate Development Organization Certification for the EDC.
Are those central control, when they're standing in there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
256 beds on 2 levels, 1 control center, they've got vision. From one spot.
So when someone's incarcerated, they don't access, they don't come in through the outside.
ARPA beneficiary agreement. With
Because of the way it's secured on the inside, I don't have to have 20-foot chain link.
I'll just wear some regular shoes next week. I have them, I just don't wear.
It's cold. You must see block and concrete. It's like cold sink. It just gets in there and stays.
the ARPA beneficiary agreement with the Boys and Girls
So how do they
Club.
insulate it then? They fill the.
Well, it's just because it's not completely dry. That last one, and you've got the cinder block is going up. And you've got
I believe there's one,
except for the temporary years.
What is the cinder block exterior walls, are they insulated?
No, so the
who it's with, I couldn't tell you.
Steel,
ARPA stuff.
steel.
A reimbursement request for Big Bend Community College.
Panels on the outside. So the cells are completely inside. It's like a bunch.
Reimbursement request for the city of Moses Lake,
So it's-
the CHG grant.
Yeah. It'd be called.
I should test my memory and see if I knew what they are as soon as they're there.
It's really amazing.
Reimbursement request from Hope
I'm
Source.
convinced I could absolutely
It's good.
Do you want me to lead into it like a grade school teacher? And this is, and this is,
Case 3 in a row.
yes. Carrie did explain, so it is the separate months, but also she said that it makes it easier for bookkeeping.
Yeah, it's good to track it.
Second McKay Healthcare. Reimbursement.
That's
An
how can they,
incredibly long story.
it's bullshit.
And Third
Well,
McKay Healthcare
I don't
reimbursement.
know so much about that, but the real length of time is getting into school district, that's what we're doing.
The fourth.
We're just now starting a discussion with the board of school district.
Can they have 4?
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but this was on a different SIP grant.
They bring them in these white tundras that are all, you can't, if you didn't know.
This is
They put on them.
a request to rescind the previously approved consent because the
That's crazy.
consent request form was wrong.
So no one's gonna get
You're
away.
rescinding and then approving the purchase.
Sign elsewhere, or this is good.
It should just be that one.
People inside don't care.
Professional services agreement, public defense.
I'm gonna go back to my office unless you got anything for me.
Oh, I got 3 o'clock with you?
Yep, 3 o'clock,
Judgment Day?
Port of Moses Lake.
Oh, not that, okay.
I hope it's not judgment.
No. These are Wheeler Construction contracts. There's 3 of them.
All right, I'll be in my office.
Hi, Tom.
You can call you in my office.
Yeah.
Got a new public defense guy. Part-timer. Come on.
It's up.
That's
Yep.
across the room. Thought we usually sign last.
That blank one was, it's a blank version of the, now I don't remember what it is, but they have a filled out copy that they turned in with it. It's an interlocal agreement.
And about 30 different signatures so
Did you want to guess what this one is?
No, I started losing them all.
It's an authorization to call for bids.
Oh.
I thought about changing, trying to sign my name, my right hand, somebody, their signature.
How's it working for you?
I think it'll take a long time.
Out-of-state travel request.
Everybody always goes cool places on their trainings. We do not.
You could go to the Laser Fusion Power Conference in Vegas in April.
I don't go to Vegas. I'm very busy in April.
Washington State Parks and Rec Commission subrecipient grant agreement.
Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have fun on the house next week.
Yeah.
This is the equitable sharing and certification from the sheriff's office. A purchase order to Kelly Create. You have it. No. You're just gonna skip it.
Did I?
You were gonna. You just handed it right back to me.
Oh, my bad. You were kinda like
Super
waiting
rude.
for it, so. Any additional comments on this meeting?
Thanks for all your help.
Oh, yes.
Thanks, Caitlin.
That is
We
my
appreciate
pleasure.
you.
Thanks, Barb.
Thanks, Barb.
We will go into recess until 3 p.m. when we are back with the Port of Moses Lake.
They are on their way downstairs to you right now.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It is 3:02 p.m. and we are here for a Port of Moses Lake update. They have arrived, so we're now in session. Are you guys actually getting an update, or are we going right into some property, or what are we doing?
We're gonna go over that West Gate entrance development and the stuff there.
Do you need to plug that into power?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hand it to you. No.
Probably don't want an HDMI.
Yeah, I can get it. Yeah, you see my phone?
I believe I do. Perfect.
Are you ready to share your screen yet, or?
Not quite.
Any of you want water? We got some bottled water back here. You guys thirsty? You guys good? I'm okay, yeah, thank you.
Says that it's cold enough you'd freeze outside.
While you guys get loaded up, will you each announce your names and positions for the minutes upstairs?
Commissioner Darren Jackson, Port of Moses Lake.
Richard Hanover, Director of Business Development, Port Moses Lake.
Dan Roach, Executive Director, Port of Moses Lake.
Did you get those, Barb?
I apologize. I got Darren Jackson. Richard, I didn't get your last name.
Hanover.
Hannah, well, hi. Sorry.
It's okay.
It didn't sound like that when you said that over the thing. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
You don't want to talk about the LTIP?
The what?
The TIF.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I'm sure Kim would like to be here and talk about that.
If we brought Kim, you would probably get more than an earful.
Well, yeah, I sent her information that was easy to send. I don't know why she couldn't get it from the other office.
Well, thank you for assisting.
Yeah.
Yeah, bet that office is busy right now.
Mhm.
You guys going to the city of Moses Lake tonight?
Yes.
You coming?
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause we'll see you there then. In a couple
We'll
hours.
see who the hell the new guy is. Now we're headed over
Support and hope.
That's a good slogan.
Then we're headed to Olympia in the morning
Sports are at Olympia this week.
and do the
Nice.
walk the hill.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, you know, you get all that free money. You gotta.
Are you heading over with the? Let me know where you're getting at. So
Yeah.
I'll get something.
I'm gonna try to go over with, I don't know. I think I was gonna go with you guys, to be honest, and then slowly spaced it out. But no, we don't really go over. Kevin's on LSC, so he'll go over a few times.
You can go if you want to.
I'm headed over
Is,
next week.
is Brant going?
I don't think so.
Is he going with?
Tomorrow, is he going?
No, he's going next week.
Maybe it's next week.
That-
that he
yeah.
decided to go.
Yeah, he's planning on next week because he was just on vacation a week ago with his dad, so
Yep.
he didn't want to be gone 3 weeks in a row, so. So thank you for you guys' time, appreciate it. We wanted to talk to you a little bit about, the port acquiring your guys' property out at the Westgate entrance off of Randolph Road and Highway 17. We wanted to show you a little bit of our vision of what we're planning on doing in that Westgate entrance. And then talk about the broader scheme of what we're gonna be doing in our port district boundaries as a whole that will affect what we're trying to do here. It's all kind of interconnected. So, I don't know if we can share
It's
the
not
screen.
showing up.
It's not showing up. Well. Try plugging it back in.
Share screen, click.
Are you doing that?
Mm-hmm. It's not giving me the option.
We just did this earlier.
Plug and play. Plug and play.
Are you operating off a thumb drive?
Mm-hmm.
Can I see it? HDMI?
Yeah.
Share. So, do you just want to
Yeah.
plug it into this and And then you can come sit over here and drive if you like.
Sure.
All right. I know I can do this. Are you?
Yeah.
There you go. You can just come sit over here and drive if you want.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
You want to just use this slide.
All right, so our Westgate entrance, we're planning on developing that entire area. We have built into our capital plan this next year for property acquisition, including hopefully your guys' piece of property, along with some private properties that are also in the mix. This is part of our overall plan for that, activating the intersection and what we're going to do with outreach to the community. So this is a little bit more in depth. As you can see, the location there on the right where you guys' current property is where we would have to, if we were going to site a gas station, we'd have to put the gas station in that location because of setbacks from the road. So we would have a gas station in there, and then as you can see, we kind of have a park build out that kind of goes through that entire area leading up to the conference center that's just right above it. So we have these different areas, the hangar, the approach, and the commercial anchor tenant, which is kind of in the C area there, that commercial tenant. And then
Do you have any ideas yet who that might be?
Yeah, we have a couple people that we're already talking to about development for the gas station. And also, I have a developer that is, I'll get into it here in a little bit. Let me move forward on that approach. So as you can see, that commercial development there, and then the park. So the park, you'll see in later slides, it kind of has like different sheds through it. Go ahead.
Is this all public?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we are recorded.
Yep, this is all public, so this is available to the public already. This is part of our last update that we did with Jacobs. So the hangar, we were talking with a group about building a conference center there, and they were looking at possibly having a museum there. Have not gone anywhere with them since then, but I have another developer that I'm working with that is looking to develop an industrial incubator space for me.
Ask you how large that conference center is?
Yeah, it was going to be about 30,000 square feet. Yeah. So this is kind of the conceptual look of what it would look like, along with the park area, with the different sheds that kind of are buildings that go through that area for the artist to be in. So back to this slide. This building right here is the industrial incubator space. So the second development group that I'm working on in Moses Lake, because right now our big issue with any future development for us as a port district is power. Power is a major issue for us. Grant PUD is kind of out of power on the project and can't even take care of the current clients that we've got in Moses Lake, because there's about a 2,000 megawatt queue right now just for Moses Lake, not including Quincy. Quincy has about 1,000. So as a port district, we've been working with a couple different groups to try to figure out how we can bring in those resources to be able to accommodate those companies. So we have one development group that's working on bringing in transmission, potentially bringing in transmission, and then another group that's looking at doing a smart grid kind of a microgrid in Moses Lake. And that's kind of around the potential of Williams bringing in an additional major gas pipeline into Moses Lake. So the second development group, the microgrid development group, they're an investment group company. They have access to over $3 billion in investment funds for companies. And so we've been working with them to try to help site some different companies in Moses Lake. And that industrial incubator space is kind of key to our long-term plan for an industrial growth moving forward. We don't want to keep going after these big, massive projects because it puts a huge strain on infrastructure, both roads, housing, water, power, obviously. So we want to start growing some of our own and then spinning them out into our industrial park when they get to a certain size. So we'll still have some industrial recruitment that we do, but we won't be doing the large scale that we have been. But this group here that's working on this space is also looking at bringing partners in to build the conference center, hotel development, and so forth. So this is kind of key to our plan, but that group has a problem with the potential of what could be built down in this bottom corner. More or less saying that they will walk from the deal if something like that was to be placed in that location, which kind of makes it tough on us. So when I heard about the development of your guys' project, we started talking about different locations that we may be, because we own thousands and thousands of acres out there at the port. There's got to be a location that would be suitable for you guys.
You know, that was one of our final site selections for our jail. You're really lucky.
Yeah, and I heard that too, yes.
Oh, we knew about that too.
Yeah. So with that being said, we've always been a good partner with you guys and trying to work with you guys on different stuff. And we really are trying to keep this area out here in the county. We have other projects that we're currently working on, including water. And we want to make sure that we have all our ability to be able to eventually become our own, serve our own water to our community from out there. So we're in the process now with our attorneys to try to form a IDD, which is an industrial development district across our entire port district boundaries, which allows us as a port district to become our own utility, water, and our own power company if we wanted to. Not that we really want to go down that path.
You're not that now.
No. That's about a 5-month process.
So I think when I spoke with you earlier, and you showed me some other properties you had, I thought so do those have power, water, sewer available to us? And you guys control that?
The sewer and water on Randolph Road are city. And the power is Grant County PUD. So, yeah.
So how's that handshake work between the port and the city? Let's say we're developing out there on port land that's got Moses Lake Utilities. Who's the permitting authority on that project? If it's a port.
If it's not annexed into the city, we would be the lead on it.
So you can decide to allow somebody to hook into their sewer and their water?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think we'd be working with them on that. Yeah.
You still hook into city
Yeah.
stuff. If you're outside the city, it's obviously permitted by you,
Yeah.
the county.
I'm worried about the connection, right? So I'm worried about that, what that handshake looks like, right? I'm on port property. Of the city utilities.
Well, we had the same thing like Aerotech's the same way. So they had all city utility connections there. We were the lead agency and we just worked with them to.
I mean, we have an interlocal with the city for sewer and water.
Okay.
So,
exactly.
yeah.
So what's stopping from asking for annexation?
Us agreeing to it.
Us agreeing to it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the primary landholders in the area, so it would take the majority.
Cut across to that area.
Yeah.
Then what are some of you could be showing us your alternative parcels.
Yeah, I think you had Google Earth up on here.
I did. I think I killed it, but I can bring it back.
Yeah, I'll let you do that. Let me go ahead.
You can use it.
mean, we have a lot of property that has sewer and water to it and power.
And we know
And
that,
it just depends on what your guys' timelines are of when you need the property, when you're gonna start your development.
Now,
Yeah.
6 months ago.
yeah,
That's like all of our
What
stuff
we
too.
got, I'll just be honest, we got hosed, we've been trying to do a deal with Mosaic School District. And it fell through. So, and that was months and months in the making. So our challenge is we need to go coroner's office built. And right now we're behind, we won't have that built before they occupy the new hospital. So this county will not have a coroner's office. We can't have that.
Before they occupy, I'll be quiet.
Well, I don't, so I think we're gonna have to end up working up some kind of a deal so that they can maintain the same spot, but, you know, we didn't want to be in that position, so.
And we're working on our debt financing for the May, to pay for the project and for the jail.
I think there's a stigma attached to it. Everybody thinks morgue, you know, it's a very nice looking building with a sally port inside. It's not, you know, we're not storing bodies outside. You're not seeing these giant hearses drive in and out, right? You know,
yeah.
so it looks more like a small medical office building than anything else.
Yeah, I
So
think
when you say it, I understand your concern.
yeah,
When I hear gas station, I just automatically wonder, well, why can't I put a nice county building next to a gas station?
yeah, I think it's just primarily because of the way the development's laid out in that area and what we've got planned for it. So, and the developer itself, right? You've got to, yeah, so, one of the spots that we talked about was this spot. And for some reason, you didn't like that spot.
I mean,
It's a main
would
site
you trade our location for that spot?
plus whatever
Probably
difference
not.
is.
That's the only thing when we look at it on the surface, is looking at the property versus
But
the
we would
property.
pay for the difference
Pay the
in
difference
land.
in cash.
Yeah, so you
If
guys
ours
would,
is valued at a higher value and theirs is less value, then they would pay the difference.
Yeah, but also on the flip side of developing, you put the morgue there, the morgue is super professional. There's not gonna be any body rolling on the sidewalk, you know? So putting another county building next to it is a potential of the future too. So that was kind of previous board looking at it, obviously open to development anywhere. But those spots,
Are you thinking of something, a bigger parcel? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't think we want to lose our amount of land either, right? I mean,
Gotcha.
it's nice to have the option. I don't want to have, you know, 2 acres where we, you know, we build our coroner's office and we have no room to do another county building. So it was nice having that, what is that, 10.9 acres?
yeah, yeah, it's about 10.
So, and also that land, so I don't know the history of the port, okay? But where that arrow is right now, I go out there and do geotech and a phase 1 environmental, and it comes back and there's PFAS and that kind of stuff. But who ends up?
Dude, there could be PFAS anywhere in Moses Lake. I mean, that's the big thing right now, right? So for you to say something like that, that's.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying that an environmental hazard of some kind, I'm just saying that in general, right? I would think that the opportunity for that right next to the airport is a lot different than, you know, in that other chunk of land. I'm just trying to cover all of my bases here.
There'll be, if there's PFAS on our property, there'll be PFAS on that property.
Maybe PFAS is a bad example. Up at a quasi NASCAR track, we found radioactive waste. Would you expect to find that? Absolutely not. But we did. So, I mean, nothing is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, one of the key features for the spot is regarding the one person throughout the state that comes and does the autopsies on criminal investigations. So we'd have a route, if we off the freeway, head and go to Patton, then take a right up Randolph to that spot, so.
Do you have another larger parcel that you'd like to show us, or?
Or could we get a couple parcels so that it equals the same volume?
Actually, and, well, I have another question for you. If you can go, I'm sorry, if you can back up and go back to that parcel that you were on. something that was curious about. So you had shown me two parcels. And one of them, the other one was, yes, this one down here with the old railroad tracks. It was down here. But this is large part of another parcel. I mean, are we doing the boundary line adjustment for that? And then what, I know these tracks are gone, but this building has still got all of his loading docks on that side of the building. So we wouldn't really, I mean, what if they want to use that in the future? I mean, we want to be good neighbors too, right?
That's our building,
Oh, is
so, yeah, we own it, yeah.
I mean, as long as we don't care that if we built a building there, that somebody doesn't say, how do I get in and out of this building now? Because it kind of.
No, because that's the main rail, so
Yeah.
you would just have rail cars that would potential go in here and then they would offload into the side of the building
I think
itself.
those tracks are removed next to the building.
Yeah.
But I just, again, thinking of all those things, when I drove out there,
Yeah,
I saw
you sure
that, saw
did.
those loading docks. you know,
Yeah,
right
the
next to building.
loading docks are like right here, straight out, so, yeah.
What's your National Guard building property plan
They're still leasing it,
for like a year, right?
infinite, yeah, for a buck.
I thought it ran out
you're
soon.
kidding.
No,
that's
it's a sweetheart deal, like,
Yeah,
they'll never vacate that. Matter of fact, when I was in Yakima this last year at the Ellensburg Rodeo, I ran into a high-ranking National Guard military officer, and she's like, we're planning on renovating that, consolidating something into that location, so.
There's all that lot next to
there's no.
Job Corps.
on that.
We had a lot of legacy deals like that, so.
There's that lot next to Job Corps.
Because there's this, I mean, they've got all of this frontage from us, all of it, for a buck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't short plat it and take it back.
Ideally, I don't see how we can, because it's like a perpetual, just renews auto. They got a sweetheart deal from our commissioners back in the day, and I don't know, Dan, if you have any thoughts on that?
We have to look into the
Yeah.
contract, yeah. I mean,
Because there's a lot of wasted land there, I mean, a lot. I mean, you guys could put your building across right there, and I'd have no problem with that, because I'm not developing that.
Oh, renovating an existing building is cheaper than building a new building.
Yeah. But I know that they have plans on, well, they said they had plans on redoing this, but I can't imagine that they're gonna ever utilize all of that too. But like a buck.
Well, just getting that far right hand, top right.
So-
part.
Not just planting the seeds, so we have a building that the Civil Air Patrol wants to rent from us because they've got a sweetheart deal at Puerto Ufreda, but Puerto Ufreda is a big town. I don't know what the details.
What are you afraid is evicting the Civil Patrol after all these years?
What's that?
I don't know.
I don't know why.
When I was a cadet, I helped build that building they're in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would go over very well with our commissioners, because I know one of the commissioners was actually there for that vote. That was.
Yeah, where your arrow's at, that would be.
I don't disagree, like, from a business development standpoint, and I was looking to develop this entire area, I'd want both sides of this. Because it's like prime real estate. There might be a way for us to, and we can look into that, to see if there's a way for us to claw back some of this up here, because it's not being utilized.
Do we have to own it? Can we also?
Well, we
build it on
want
and
to, we
lease it?
want to own it.
Yeah, I think we'd rather.
We don't
Well,
wanna
you
be
probably
the
want we'd love to lease it to you.
Yeah, we don't want to be in the same position we were gonna be in with Samaritan.
Yeah, except we do sweetheart deals forever.
right.
Yeah, we ain't gonna
Or
tell
at
you,
least you used
we're
to.
not gonna tell you to leave.
Our FBO.
I think it's gonna be more than a buck, though.
Deal too. So anyways, we can look into that, but the other option, but it's more out in our industrial park. Is this property here. That's a big piece of property, and it's our last port-owned property on our east side. It's like, I want to say it's like 60 acres, it's off the top of my head. And we have donated this part here, so you don't see it on this map, but it's got substations on it, so we've given that to the beauty. So other than that, the rest of it is,
Those substations are built.
yeah. Other than that, all of this is there too, so. And that has all of the city water and sewer and everything there too on the street. And the
What piece
power's
is that,
right
Richard?
there.
The 2,000 or 5,000 or both of them?
Both of those, yeah. Yeah. The last major development that we had over there was the expansion of that substation. And I believe Carol updated it so that it included that.
So I'm gonna ask what might be a dumb question, but, so let's say we have 5 acres, 10 acres, whatever it is, port property. As a developer, if I go in there to build that building, am I still doing SEPA and the whole 9 yards, or? is it-
No, actually, that's the beauty. If you pick this spot over there, we've already done a planned action on all of that. So you could just go.
Is it,
So,
yeah, so but then now that's not the same case at those other properties.
no, it's part of the planned action too. Yeah. Yeah. We paid for a big planned action. We got funds from the state. Year 2 of me being there, and I've been there 11 years, so. And we can get you all the information. It's like 250 pages. You want just simple reading material. Yeah. No.
Yeah, this one far out, I don't think the corner would ever be sad about that.
It beats
The
you
one,
Freda.
the first alternative shown, that would be, we have to get it, in corner, it's not that far off.
Tom, we do have a 3:30.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was not aware.
What's
I
that?
thought this was-
Jump
So,
court piece.
okay, so then, but
This
if
side of
we
the
put a
tank,
piece,
come this way,
or
south.
I don't think
Well,
we need to
south.
be
No, that's
adding
not
other
critical.
parcels to the mix. And
That piece.
This part right here is what we're-
Don't need the property, then we can just do cash for the difference.
This
We
other
can
south.
cash for the difference. And use that cash.
Yeah, I get that, and I get what you're saying about not wanting to be landowners. At the same time, we don't own a lot of land, and when we need
About the,
to expand,
where
you know, if we
Sunstrand
need to
is.
build different
No.
buildings somewhere.
If we get rid of
the health district,
Get rid of the
I think
Sunstrand
we should
piece,
ask the coroner.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about this?
the corner's fine with this.
get rid of that
The
building.
corner is fine with this location.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the other option. This isn't our plan to tear down. We're planning on tearing that building completely down. And it's got,
Can you zoom out a little bit on that one, Richard?
yeah, it's got power
So-
to it.
it's on the
and
same
everything.
street,
in
it's
our
just in-
warehouse district.
It's just in closer from where we were looking. It's
Right
farther
next to the
west.
school, so you can kinda, you know.
So it'd be the backside of the elementary school.
You know, I go out and check those out, well.
I know that one. This is my daily route to
It's right
Euphrates.
So I kinda need, yeah, so I kinda need some direction from my commissioners on which direction to go.
No, yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of options.
I personally like real estate, so the bigger the better.
There's more opportunity for you to grow here.
How much space is that?
The entire square is 10,
Yeah.
10.89.
This is a 20,000 square foot warehouse just for size.
I think we should look at it, because Superior Court's running out of storage. For their storage.
Probably not. They would want something close. They wouldn't, because they drive there often, and they're not gonna
Yeah,
wanna.
it's probably not. Probably can store equipment in there.
So we're talking about the whole parcel with all the different structures, so.
Just this part
Chop-
right here.
chopping
No,
off-
no,
chopping
just
off
that.
a corner.
Just
Yeah.
chopping off the corner.
So a plating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plating.
we'd have you guys
Oh, yeah.
we'd replat, then you guys do the work, then it'd be done. And we'd either sell it.
I'd have to make sure that that's in the planned action area. If it's not, then you'd have to go through the permit and everything.
I think it is, but I can't remember. I think it is.
So what's the condition of that building that you want to tear down? Are you tearing it down because you don't have a use?
It needs to be torn down, Cindy.
Yeah, it's not one that I would even recommend.
Yeah, we store, man, it's so bad right now that we store our maintenance equipment and we're building a new facility out in
It's
the
the
infield.
old onion dehydrating building.
So it's been there forever.
So let me ask this question. So if we were to do the trade, would you guys tear that down and have a clean slate for us to work with? Would that be part of the
I
deal?
think that's in our plan.
It's on our plan to tear it down anyway.
So,
Yeah, we wouldn't say, here's your ground and you gotta remove all this crap. So, if we're gonna sell you a piece of property, we're at least gonna make it so it's dirt.
So is that parcel in the county or in the city?
It's in the county.
it's the county.
Okay, so the city went around it.
City's
And
this
there's-
side of it,
So the
south of it.
city is, if I remember right, they gobbled up this part here. That's one of their octopus arms.
They took that road as part of an annexation, go up a road, grab a parcel, and go around.
Yeah,
do another big-
yeah, it stops there.
Okay.
Go to that side.
And that's,
So that's on the permitting side.
yes. And we're trying
For
to,
the plating
and we're trying to keep it that way so that we're not.
Right.
The problem is if they annex all the way around us, then soon they're gonna annex inside of the properties. And that limits what we can do with our own airport. Cause I don't think it says you can do flight testing inside the city. It's like the old chicken and the goat deal at the fairgrounds. If you annex the fairgrounds, well, how do we have cows and stuff in the city limits?
So that just gives you an idea. So the piece of property that they don't want us to build on is like 10.98 acres, and that blue square is 3.48 acres. And then that would, we'd have to subdivide that water, whatever too. So, I mean, I'm a proponent. I don't mind doing a trade, but I am concerned about just cutting off a chunk and trading and only having enough room for 10,000 square foot building and then not having anything else. So I'm not saying that, 11 acres for 11 acres.
Well, yeah, because you want, it's a very.
The opportunity to, if we ever had to relocate, like I said, to help, whatever, who knows? I mean, it's crystal balls, so.
But just for size reference, that building over there is 20,000 square feet. In that 4 acres, you got plenty of room.
And they still have it to replat.
Yeah.
And it's county that's controlling how fast it can happen by all the rules. Well, Craig likes that spot.
Well-
And Craig's acceptable to that.
He's acceptable to that because the other one fell through. So,
Yeah, the ideal spot is, we all know where that is, and that made sense, because you're right
made
there
perfect
you need to
sense.
be. Yeah,
it was the perfect.
yes. And if I had any way to give you any leverage on that, I would totally do it, yeah.
I'll leave that one alone, and we're 7 minutes into the
Okay.
prosecutor's update. I
All right.
apologize.
Okay.
So why don't we have them check on that right there by the armory and then?
Yeah, I'll check into
The
the.
armory would be my
I'll check into it,
first.
yeah.
All right, we're gonna go into a quick recess, return at 3:40 for the prosecuting attorney's office update. Good afternoon, it is 3:40 and we are here for the prosecuting attorney's office update. Hello, team.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Jump to executive session? Yep, we need a litigation executive session.
How long?
10 minutes? Think that
Go
long?
from there?
Yeah, let's start with 10 minutes.
Start with 10.
Okay.
We're going
Prefer not
to
to be
go
tracked.
into executive session beginning at 3:40 PM until 3:50 PM for litigation RCW 42.30.1101I. We are now out of executive session. And the decision was made to,
You need to make a decision.
do we need a motion for that?
Probably.
Okay, well then I'll entertain a motion to have our staff set a meeting with prosecuting attorney's office, the BOCC, and the treasurer.
I'll second. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes granting the the authority to set that meeting?
Guys, I apologize. Caitlin's on the phone and I picked up my headset late. So Cindy moved, Kevin seconded for staff to set a meeting with the prosecutor, the treasurer, and the BOCC.
Yes.
Can I say what the topics regarding when I put on there, or just?
Taxes owed.
Litigation concerns?
Potential litigation?
Okay, so potential litigation. Okay. And how long do you want?
With Daryl, we probably need a half an hour minimum.
I was thinking an hour, but.
Okay. I would defer to you guys if you feel like an hour would be.
With Daryl, I think it'll be an hour.
And
Yeah,
Barb?
And do you want this next week? Sooner the better?
Yeah, sooner the better.
Okay, so next week. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
You. And anything else?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right, well, thank you for coming. We are going to go into recess and we have a department head review with HR coming up. So we will return back when HR arrives.
Thank you.
Or you can email it to me. Good afternoon. It is 4:05 p.m. and we are here for a department head review with Human Resources. We are going to go into executive session for 20 minutes, going in at 4:05 p.m., returning at 4:25 p.m. I might hold off to 4:06 to 4:26 because I see Barb bringing us a form. No, we all did.
Oh, did you? Do you all,
so
he needs a copy as well?
I'll copy it. I already even go, I'm an executive. You're good. We didn't officially go in. I was waiting for you. I saw you. Okay, so we're gonna go into executive session from 4:06 to 4:16 for job applicant / evaluation RCW 42.30.1101G.
Rob, I'm so sorry. You said 20 minutes, but then you said 4:16.
26, sorry. Speaker's error. I forgot Cindy's on. Anything that
It is 4:26.
Okay, we're out of executive session.
5 more minutes to find.
Commissioners, it's 4:31.
Do you guys want any more time or do you want to go with that?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Okay. Kevin?
I'm good.
Good?
This is my first one, so I'm good.
We did good.
You made it. Don't worry, when we do the review, I'll have lost the papers. All right, anything for you? It's our last meeting, I believe. So Cindy, do you have anything?
Nope, other than I forgot to ask the port. I was gonna ask them when we had the lull about our Kamaki City exchange, so I can reach out and ask them what their thoughts are.
All right, sounds good. We will recess for today. And we're going to the city of Moses Lake.